stage. The better he is! Farmers are going to triumph, and what a triumph it is! The sweet sound of No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
Didn't realise there was music after that. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Don Pod. Bit of a somber mood after what has to be said was an okay pre-season. There were no red flags.
Maybe there were red flags, we just didn't see them.
Didn't see them, maybe. A full disclosure, I didn't watch a second of it. I had a cricket grand final on that I won. And I've watched highlights, so forgive me for that. Nathan has watched it in full. If we won, I might have sat down and watched a replay, but I'm sorry, I'm not watching a replay of an 11-goal drubbing.
I'll be honest, I had to walk away from bits.
So between us, we've seen 90% of it.
But yeah, I think most people had to walk away from bits. Like there were bits where you just had to walk away.
Yeah. I mean, 20 goals, 18, 138 to 11, 6, 72.
38 scoring shots to 17.
Absolutely not the start we expected. Absolutely not the start that the coach expected either. I'll just read through a couple of quick quotes from Rutten, if I can. Obviously, he said, really, this is paraphrasing, of course. Really disappointed. Wasn't an indication of what we've been doing in the preseason and in training. Really didn't see it coming, which is probably my favourite quote and all that, because neither did I. And really clear on what areas we need to hone in on and where we need to get better, and that is the contest stuff. So, yeah, a bit of a shit show, let's be honest. Give us your brief little summary.
Well, it might not be brief, I don't know.
Well, we'll get into the depth of stuff. Just give me your little...
I mean, normally at this stage we would do like our best and worst. The best will be very easy. You could probably do the best. I think even without watching the game, I think you can see the best.
I just
you do the best.
I monologued a bit there, so I thought I'd better let you speak.
No, that's fine.
I mean, quite clearly, possibly even 3 votes. Maybe no, probably not. Nick Martin. On debut, 27 touches, 5 goals, which I will say this, even though it's only round 1, puts him equal first in the Coleman.
Didn't realise that. That's awesome.
I'll
tell you what, he
5 for Sydney. What the hell?
It'd be interesting to see if he gets actually the 3 votes in the... sorry, not 3 votes, but the nomination for the Rising Star.
Yeah, is he eligible? He's a bit older. I don't know what the eligibility.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't
feel like
think of
two
that.
blokes who run a podcast should know the eligibility criteria.
Yeah, look, we can't be perfect. Yeah.
Look, Nick Martin was really, I mean, obviously a standout performance. I've never seen a bloke kick 5 goals on debut.
It's the best fantasy debut ever. Like from I had him on the bench.
Fantasy, yeah, same.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a little bit of a personal thing there because we were on him. We said he looks bloody good. He looks like an AFL footballer. He's clean. He's tidy. He's got good awareness. And I watched his 5 goals, and that rung true.
The interesting thing, he might not have played, I guess, if Stringer had been fit, because that might have been the replacement. So he will not leave unless he's injured. He will not leave that side for the rest of the year.
Absolutely not.
You can't. There's no.
He'd have to really stink it up, wouldn't he?
He couldn't. I don't know. Yeah, he'd have to really stink it up for a period.
Yeah. Look, outside of that, I'm looking at stats, but Jai Caldwell, 2 goals and 23 touches. It seems like a pretty well-rounded game. You mentioned Perkins was quite good in parts, 20 touches. And then, I mean, I'm disappointed to see 39 touches for Merritt. That seemingly is very low impact. and then
I think you
34
can
for
scroll
Gersh.
across to the clearances and you'll see 1 for Merritt.
Yes,
Probably
accurate.
explains.
Great.
Mm.
Yeah. So yeah,
Whereas you go
Pretty
have a look at a
effective.
few of the Geelong, you got 11 for Parfit, 8 for Dangerfield.
Parfit.
Mm.
You know, actually, I
Mhm,
mean,
mhm.
yeah.
Sean Higgins had 4 clearances. Sean Higgins.
I'm really glad I had a cricket grand final on. Like,
Oh, it's so horrible to watch.
I come
it
off.
hurt.
I come off from batting and we were 10 goals down, and I went, whatever. Like, okay.
Just to let everyone know too, Sam did win the grand final
Yes.
and put in a best on ground. He had a 50 and some excellent bowling figures to go along with it. So
in isolation, 50 doesn't sound that great. But 30
I
balls
think
at the end.
when they yeah.
Yeah.
I think 50. There's nothing wrong with 50. A 50 in a grand final.
I think.
Anyway, it's not about you.
Oh, it is 5 6s, 4 4s.
Oh God.
To get it in there.
Can we get into the negatives now?
Well, I mean, are there any other positives? Are there any?
No, there are no other positives, Sam.
Tiny little.
No, nope. It was a sunny day. That was a
beautiful
positive.
day.
Seriously, it was Nick Martin then daylight in positives.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty hard to argue that when you get thumped. All right.
A couple of things I want to bring up. Oh, there's several things. I really could go from back, mid to... I'm going to start with a thing that really frustrated me to watch. Hit-outs and clearances. So we were plus 12 in the hit-outs, yet we were negative 24 in the clearances. Now,
Jesus.
I don't know if Sam Draper and the midfielders know each other. I don't know if they practice things at training, but there is a clear issue between him jumping and tapping the ball and where they all are, because he doesn't seem to know where they all are. The number of times, there was one instance in the third quarter where there was a throw in our forward 50. The umpire had screamed, no Geelong nomination. So he was by himself. The umpire said it 3 times, and the commentators even had time to say, oh, there's only one ruckman here, and it was Draper. He tapped it to a Geelong person. Like, he was by himself, and he just went straight down to a Geelong person's throat, over the back of his head. And they ran it up the other end. I can't remember if they scored or not. I was so frustrated at that stage, I'd walked away. Like, all you had to do, mate, was grab the ball, either kick it or handball it. Like, you're by yourself, you big, dumb... Like, seriously? Just, and as for the, like, I couldn't handle how many times he just hit it to a Geelong player. Like, it was, like, do you have any technique that you're working on at training? I love the guy. I love the way he goes about it. But I'm a bit concerned that he's not learning the game as a ruckman of how to be smart as a ruckman. And as a guy that I played a bit of ruck in my junior days, and it's hard to watch. It really is.
Yeah. It is
so frustrating.
It has been a problem too. We've commented on that a few times over the preseason games we watched. That
the thing I want now is I reckon he nearly get a week for he punched down Radigalia in the guts game. He got fairly good whack.
Good call.
I reckon he'll nearly get a week for it. If not, it'll be fine. But they need to now bring Brian in, and we need to see if he's actually a ruckman that can hit it to players. Because the massive issue too, just to go on to the next issue, the massive issue is they double teamed Peter Wright, which left us, and you know how we'd love to kick to a contest in the 50, because apparently none of our forward 50s have worked. Forward 50 players have worked out that if you run towards the guy with the ball, it's a little bit easier instead of just bomb it in, because that's all we did all day. So they double teamed Peter Wright, which means he took a couple of marks. Maybe I don't know exactly the stats on that, but it's just we need another big tall down there. Now, even if it's Draper down there, I'll handle the 3 goals 7, because I'm used to that with Joe Danaher. So, you know, we can handle a shocking set shot guy. I don't have a problem with it. As long as someone actually marks the ball.
Well,
like, I can't...
Not even about that though.
Contests it.
But it's good game knowledge situation, whatever, awareness from Geelong to go, hey, Peter Wright's their only tall forward, tall forward. If we can take him out of the game, our
They've got
next
nothing.
tallest forwards are low 190s, which is tall, but not for a tall forward. So if you had Draper in that example, yes, he'd probably kick 1 goal 7, but again, we're used to that. But it gives opposition another tall player to worry about.
Yeah, and look, if I don't know who you sacrifice, maybe it's Baldwin. He wasn't great, but you can persevere with players like this. Personally, I think it's guys like Smith and that who, in defeats like that, they just look more ordinary. I can't. He's been at the club now a while. We paid a lot of money to get him there, and he's seriously going backwards. I can't. It was such a frustrating game to watch forward. The other thing I can't handle is watching our defenders kick out from fullback into the tiny little corner pocket. You remember, how we do that a lot?
Yep.
We seem to do that even more in this game. And then we're left kicking it into the corners the next kick, and then we're left just banging it along the boundary line and getting it out of bounds. Now it goes to a clearance. Guess what we're not good at? Clearances. Comes back. They give you 15, 20 metres. Use that 15, 20 metres, run and kick the ball to about 60 out and make a contest up there.
There is no other team now that really uses that kick into the pocket.
No one, except for us.
And worst case scenario, you get a stoppage 70 metres from goal. And stoppages are an issue in that game in particular. But
we're getting flogged from the clearances. So
much
why not at least
doing that in the forward 50, or like at least you get as far away from goal as possible.
Yep.
And then your 50-50 if you have to.
And these are the things that frustrate me to watch. I'm like, well, what are they doing during training during the week? Like, is this not something I'm just seeing? I watch other games of football. I nearly watch all the games of football this weekend like I normally do. Other teams, as you say, are not doing that. They're not chipping it. They're using that space that you're given and taking the 20 metres as like, I can take that and get up the ground.
Yep.
We're not. We're going short to the pocket, shorter, and then, we've got no options because we can't cross because they've defended that other side, which is obvious to do. I mean, it's plain to see from anyone. So we just kick it along the wing, goes out of bounds, clearance, ball comes back in. It's rinse and repeat. Like, seriously, coach.
Yeah.
Like, shout at someone.
Grain of salt with this because I shouldn't say it then, I'm not 100% sure. I think Collingwood Friday night, I watched a bit of, we're running it to like 30 metres out from goal and then doing the kick.
Yep.
Like, you're 90 metres away from goal then, and you get your full chance to reset your defence.
Yep. Now,
then give your mids a chance to win the ball back from a 50-50.
Yep. Now, is our problem that we don't have a guy that can mark the ball up at that point, where other teams have someone that they're kicking it to? Is that our issue? Then I say the whole Bryant. Well, exactly, and that's why Bryant should be in the team. So we've got another tall behind him. And this is what's frustrating. Like, it's pure.
I want to ask you a question. We have mentioned once or twice that we would like to see the two ruckmen play.
Yep.
This is totally Harry hindsight. Would it have been better on that point we just talked about to have Brian and Draper to at least give the Geelong defence another 2-metre player to worry about?
Well, the reason I would say yes is because our strategy seems to be, if we get the ball at about 78, we just kick it long. Like, Geelong, Tomahawk and Cameron until he went down, and then Stengline and all these other, and even, Higgins, they all lead at the guys when they're about 70 out. Like, they lead, like, our defenders can't go with them because Stewart's apparently, he's not very quick. He's not a great defender. So they just lead and they take these nice, easy marks, out in front, go back, have a set shot. It's such a simple strategy. Whereas we get to this point, and I don't know if we've moved the ball slow so the defenders have all got in behind, or we just sit there and go, there were times when we could have taken kicks, but we wouldn't. Like, there were guys out, I can picture a few moments where, the kick was there to take, but we waited and then took the kick. And by the time we took the kick, 3 or 4 more Geelong people had got in there and then just got cleared out. But either we're scared to make the decisions, scared to fail, or there's something in their mindset saying, no, that's what I'm not trained to do. I'm trained to wait and then kick it long, kick it to the squares. Those squares we saw at training in that training game.
Yes. So,
and I can't, if that's then the strategy, get another bloody tall in there.
Yeah, well, so that's my next point. How do we fix it? Because I don't watch as much football as you from other teams. I used to before the saga, and now I'm...
You have a life, you can say it.
Burnt. No, I'm burnt by what happens. So I don't tend to watch as much of other teams. Watched Carlton and Richmond in full on Thursday night. Watched a bit of the D's game against the Dogs and a bit of the Collingwood St Kilda game. it doesn't matter which of those 6 teams, they kick to leading forwards or they kick to space. Very rarely, they still kick to packs because sometimes you do have to.
Because you have to. Yeah, I accept that too.
They will hit a leading target. And I watched about 3 seconds of the Brisbane Port game last night. And guess what? Ollie Wines hit a leading target inside 50. Yeah. And I think it was Powell Pepper kicked a goal. What is wrong? Is it just the players? Is it the cattle we've got on the park
I don't know.
Just don't have the IQ, the footy IQ or the
lead
skill to execute the kick? Well, is it the kicker?
Well, I don't know if no one's leading or no one's kicking. Yeah, like
bloody Merritt, he's not going to hit me if I lead. So I'll back myself.
I'll stand here, put my hand up.
Or is it, which is probably more likely because our midfields do have a bit of class about them. Let's not forget. Is it the fact that the forwards just don't?
Yeah.
And I would have thought Baldwin would be good at this part of it. I mean, it's only his first game. I'm not going to slate him, but he just seems like an old-fashioned footballer. So I kind of expected to see him with a goal or two because he can actually lead at the football.
Anyway,
where do we fix it?
I don't know how. I'm not coaching the team, but it's an issue, and until it's resolved, we're not going to be a good team. I can give you the tip. The third thing I'll bring up is the third thing was our midfield. Like back to those clearance numbers.
So every single part of the ground, excellent.
There was no when you lose by 10 goals or 12 goals in the first game. There's not much you can hang your hat on, especially when they've kicked 7 goals in the first quarter. Like, that's
back foot straight away.
What the hell? Like it's. So the midfield, so to be 24 down in clearances, like you have a look at the tackles. Hardly any of our midfielders tackle. I don't know how you're not tackling if you're getting flogged in the midfield. Like,
so Guelphy 4, Shield 4, Draper 3, Hind 3.
You go find Merritt had 3, and
Luke Dalhouse had the most, equal with a couple of others with 4. It wasn't a high
Parrish had
game.
1. Parrish only got his first tackle in the fourth quarter.
Yikes.
Parrish was disgusting. Parrish jogged around like as if he'd won a Brownlow the year before. I love the guy, you know that, but a lot of jogging going around by our players. So like, hey, look at him running away from me. I'll just jog. It's all right.
We're not going to sit.
The midfield was disgusting. There was no pressure. There was no hassle. There was no like. What frustrated me in the midfield, besides so many other the ruck tap outs, was the fact that Geelong would get the ball. And all our midfielders seemed to converge or be at the wrong side. And then they'd just go out. Dangerfield, the number of times Dangerfield ran from a clearance straight out the other side towards goal. They had 3 pings, I reckon, at goal. I'm like, at what stage do we put a midfielder on the defensive side and say, okay, you stay on this side. When the ball comes out, your job is to at least put some pressure on. Don't get sucked into the contest. Do not get sucked into the contest unless you're clear you can win it.
Did we talk
Stay on the defensive side. Wait till I finish, Sam.
Sorry, I thought
Stay on the defensive side and stop the run, please. We're getting flogged.
Can I talk?
Yeah, go.
Sorry, I thought there was a gap. I don't mean to talk over you. Was there something we talked about in the preview with that we don't really have a defensive-minded midfielder?
We don't have a defensive-minded midfield. Like, none of them thought... I mean.
We don't have that player to go...
But that's what coaches do, Sam. Surely they realise, they're ripping us through there. Hey, I don't know, Shield, go stand on the backside.
A cattle thing more than...
I think... it's a dumb player thing, if you ask me. I don't know how you just... And then they weren't in the contest. They were in the middle of the contest. They weren't in the contest or out of the contest. They were just sort of in this ugly position of not being in it. Like, they weren't all in trying to get the ball and the ball spitting out. It was all Geelong getting it. And then we were sort of in this middle ground of, they've got it, I'll go in. And then when we got in, it went out. Like, it was so hard to watch. It was just, for me, round 1, if you're not ready to crack in at round 1, I don't know when you are. Like, seriously.
You're exactly right. You can't get up for round 1.
I watched all the other games. Like, everyone else was cracking in. Even Carlton, where they got flogged in that first quarter, fought their way back in the second and third and fourth, in quarters.
And actually made themselves out to be quite a decent football side, it seems.
Yep. The one last thing I want to do, is I want to quickly talk about Kyle Langford. Now, he did his hamstring in the first I don't know, 5 minutes. It was the first contest he got to, and he pulled the hamstring. My concern over him is that he's never played a full season in the 7 years. How long has he been in the club? 2015? Did he get there? Something like that. 14, 15. He's never played a full season. The most he's played with us is 17 games. It's a concern that we hold on to people like him, and I'll put Stringer in that they're concerning that we got a few players. Laverde was like that for years until last year he finally got a full year out of him, and he was awesome when he nearly had his spleen removed in that contest. Came back out. That was amazing. I give him a 1 vote just on that effort. That we have a few players that don't seem to be able to get up every week, which is affecting, I think. We hold on to them. Like Francis is another one. They always seem to miss a few games. Laverde was one. Langford's another one that concerns me that we've got. You can see how, like with someone like at Richmond, what's his name? That went down the meatball. What do they call him? Prestia. You can see how much that affects them because then they were out with. He was so influential in that first quarter. Then without him for the rest of three, that really hurts the team. Langford's important to us because he runs. He gives us run and drive. When he goes out in the first quarter, we lose a lot of that, run and carry and, ability to get back and help defend. It frustrates me that we seem to not be able to get either players right. And I don't know how you pull a hamstring in the first few minutes of it. If you're not warmed up properly at that stage, I don't know what you're doing, but that's the last one. It concerns me that...
Well, it is concerning. Sorry, just trying to drink my coffee. That we had a bloke, Danaher, who was perpetually injured for 2 years, has gone to Brisbane and not missed a game. Now that could be fortuitous that he's just gotten right at that point in time. I'm not
of course.
saying
no.
This is guesswork. But the fact that he's been up there and has not had really, I don't remember, a single injury.
No, he's played every game since he's been up there. I mean, he was fit when we left us. Like he played the last 6 games for us. He did play the end of that
season. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yep.
But it is concerning that we do have a lot. You're right. It is concerning. We have a lot of these players that just get these recurring injuries. And again, Stringer is another one. That's a good point. It would be interesting, and I hope it doesn't happen because I do like Langers, and I think he's important.
Yeah, I love him. I think he's a great
club. Let me talk, Nathan. I forgot what I was going to say now. It would be interesting, is a hypothetical, if he went to another club, would he still have the same issues?
I don't know, but
because Danaher is not really a good enough sample size. I'm going to segue using Danaher on to next week. Professional segue.
I don't think I went hard enough on this week still, but yeah.
No, it was good. Nathan got a lot of frustration out before we hit record. We want to be the real podcast. We want to say it how it is, but...
Well, I think we want to be how everyone...
But Nathan suggested delisting 1 or 2 players, so...
You know what? Don't you all feel like that after a game? Like, I read so many comments, it's only round 1 and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, yeah, but our percentage now is 52. Like... Goodbye, top 8, because now you have to win an extra game. Now, if we were going to struggle into the 8th, or maybe you could argue we shouldn't be there anyway. But, oh, God. Yeah, you're right. Obviously, we shouldn't, so it doesn't matter. We will be definitely bottom 8, possibly bottom 6.
Well,
I reckon,
on that performance, yeah. But what we... No, so you can look at the... You can look at the performance and go... not good enough. What we can't sit here and do is now say, you can't say we're going to be definitely bottom 6 or root because it's round 1. We've got a tough draw, and that was probably the most winnable game out of our first 3.
Yep.
But I seem to recall we started pretty poorly last year.
Well, we lost that one to Hawthorn, which we shouldn't have lost.
Which we shouldn't have lost. So, and we were 7 goals up. So that was pretty brutal. And we don't know what we don't know. The most useless saying ever. Geelong could be phenomenal. I highly doubt it, but they could be. Well, so we've got to just sit here, analyse our performance, and then hope to Christ it gets better. Because clearly it needs to. As I said, professional segue. Next week, Brizzy in Melbourne. I'll be there. It'll be my first game of the year. Looking forward to that.
Expect a better review from you then.
Yeah, sorry. My worst day at the football's still a pretty good day. I do love going to the footy, so that'd be good. They beat the Power last night by 11
They look
points.
pretty good.
Pretty scrappy game from all reports. They run over the top of them a little bit, but Port will be a good side, so there's it's two good
Oh,
sides
there's
going at it.
nothing wrong with
Only injury for them looks like Zorko went off.
and possibly Berry.
What happened to him?
Oh, so he got injured. I can't recall.
Got injured.
Well, I know he's injured because the fantasy people were all talking about he was a cheap fantasy pick, and they're going, "What are we going to do with Berry?" And I had a look at one of the apps I follow, and they had a little red cross on him, so that means something happened to him.
Okay. This is the AFL's report. They've only mentioned.
Yeah, I wouldn't trust
Zorko.
the AFL.
No, I wouldn't either. I did. Let me down.
Crap stats.
So obviously we're gonna have our preview. I think all we'll really think about here is the changes to the team, what we would expect to see. Obviously, Langford is out with the hamstring.
I would imagine
any other-
Laverde might not get up either next week. Really, seriously,
That's
I don't know how he
concerning.
played out that game. I don't know how he played out that game, but he must have close to broken ribs, or his spleen might have come out his bottom. I don't know, but he was a broken man. Like when you saw it, the fact that what's his name, Cameron went to hospital, and Laverde looked worse was amazing. That he somehow came back on to play. I don't really fathom how he did it.
Maybe that's a reflection on our medical department.
We've
Maybe Lav, if you're listening.
I won't say. I was going
Go
to
get
say
yourself
something
checked,
about. I was going to say something about getting shots, but I've thought about not.
Oh no! Don't make injection jokes. No, too soon.
Yeah, no. Inject some.
I'd rather you joke about the Russians, to be honest.
Yeah.
Draper, you said might be in.
Oh,
strife.
he'd be close to getting a week.
That'll
It was
remain
a
to be
swinging
seen.
arm punch in the gut, so I don't know what that is. It's
The AFL cracked down on that a few years ago, but it was a bit like the rule of the week.
Mm.
It was a thing for
Yeah,
a
yeah.
year, and then it kind of hasn't been since. But I don't like it. It's a pretty low thing to do on a football field. So
I agree.
if
I don't
it
think there
gets
was
done,
a need for it.
then fair enough.
It's done.
So you'd suggest that's at least two changes. I didn't watch it, so I'm not going to give mine. But please
Yep.
give me your ins and outs.
For me, well, it's clearly Langford, and I think Draper personally. I would nearly bring the two ruckmen back. What's his name? Phillips and Brian in. I think we have to play two ruckmen. I think I'm seeing too many other teams doing it and doing it well, playing two ruckmen, like full-on ruckmen, and just sticking one forward and hoping for the best, and it's kind of working out because they're big. It's the old adage, they don't get any smaller. Like at the end of the day, when everyone's fallen over or a bit tired in the last quarter, they're still 6'6" or 6'10", sticking their arms up. Like,
The
I just think
very own Lee Matthews right there.
Yeah. Well, I just think that if we're going to play this bomb it long to our forward 50, there's got to be another option, and it's I've got to have some more height down there, and the only other height is him, I think, in the list. Stewart played pretty horribly. I'm concerned about his ability to defend big guys, or guys that can run, or guys that can mark, or guys that can
But
kick.
he's in that privileged position of not many other players in his
Got
position.
no other, yeah. I think
Apart
Cox
from
personally
Rowan,
could be dropped is another one. He's not developing at any rate. He's going backwards, I'd nearly say. I would bring I'd swing some changes personally. I don't know how you can. So Draper out, Langford out. I'd bring in Bryant, possibly Phillips, and I'd drop Cox for Hobbs. I think Hobbs or maybe Hobbs gets a game. I'd maybe think about Smith out for wanging it. We need a crumbing forward that can do some useful things. I don't know. Probably Ham would go out too.
We should just try and bring in a first gamer every week and hope they kick goals.
Does this Nick Martin have any cousins?
Yeah. What about actually one of the highlights I watched? I can't remember who was commentating. They said there's a new Martin in town. Which probably the highlight of the whole damn thing was that. I mean, it's pretty sad, but a first gamer for Essendon's being very, very loosely, I'm aware,
27 possessions
compared to
goals.
Dustin Martin. That's a bit of fun.
It's not Stringer.
I mean, I'm pretty sure. Oh, Dusty might have at the start of his career, but Dusty's certainly not losing by 11 goals to Geelong.
No. Yeah, look, I would personally, no doubt there'll be no changes. That's what they'll do, and I'll
no,
be
there
like,
has to be. No.
well, Langford
Hobbs
goes
has
out.
to come in, and Langford has to go out. And if Draper gets suspended, I'm with you wholeheartedly. Play the two damn rucks, even if they're completely ineffective as a forward. At
Yep.
least it gives
Just
the
see what it does.
defence another bloke to worry about. Like,
But how are we going to go against, like, who's going to play on Joe Danaher this week?
it'll be Stewart.
Is it?
But,
Is it? Because
yeah,
Joe Danaher will kick 8 on him.
probably.
He will embarrass him.
But this is the problem. We're like one short at either end. We're short at all in either end.
Short of tall.
gonna end
Actually,
up
we
on
should change the podcast name to
Short at all.
Short
It's
of
going to
tall.
end up on a t-shirt or something. At some point.
Short of tall.
Short at all. It'll be interesting, but I mean, we'll see what happens. But
Didn't we have too
another
many
tall,
talls?
sure.
Like, wasn't that
We
a
did,
thing
but-
that we?
I mean, was that
None of them were any good.
Carlisle? Was that back in the Carlisle days, or
Oh, I can't remember. Yeah. Oh, the other option is Cox goes back and plays as a defender. That's another thing I would have to think about. Like, as a he's no he's.
He was.
I don't know if he could be a forward, but he's no good on the wing. I'll be honest. That gives us nothing.
Okay,
Gives
no good
me
at the moment,
nothing on the wing.
Please, he's a
Yeah,
second year player.
he's either reserves or he's back or forward. He's not a winger. He's not a winger at the moment. He could turn into a great one, but he had 15 touches, which is not a lot. How many did he lay a tackle?
No tackles.
No.
Yeah.
No clearance. Nothing.
Just
He
looking
gets a
at
bit outside ball. That's it.
the stats. Can you just give me a rundown on Tommy Cutler? 24 touches and a goal. Cracked
Oh,
a ton in fantasy.
He did Tommy
Okay.
Cutler things. He did Tommy Cutler things. He helps out his teammates. He's got his faults, and we all know his faults.
Mm-hmm.
But he gets the ball. He's the guy usually who gets that first kick. Actually, I reckon he's the one leading into the pocket, giving him that option and making him think of that kick.
That's actually something else, and we're waffling a bit. We're running out of time.
But yeah, it's just
other teams, and I noticed it really, really heavily with Melbourne last year, and then Carlton did it a few times. Now, I know Essendon, I'm not supposed to like Carlton. I was pretty happy for them Thursday night. They played some good football, and they looked like a decent side.
Yep.
They have copied Melbourne. Their kicks into the forward line, if they can't hit a target, it goes to the pocket. Where worst case scenario, it gets spoiled over the line. And then, hey ho, they've got some good midfielders and good forwards that can kick goals from stoppages.
That reminded me of something else now.
Well, go on, please.
Oh, the number of times that Geelong did that to us, like they put it over the line, and then I don't know if you've ever seen Tomahawk play in the 300 games of football. I don't know if you've seen him, but he can ruck pretty well, and he basically, and guess what? A couple of our defenders don't know how to defend and get on the defensive or even run with their players. The number of times Tomahawk just tapped it and the forwards just ran through, collected the ball, ran into an open goal nearly. Like, Pepper was disgusting. Oh, God, he lets a lot of horrible things happen.
Okay. We're gonna hold it there.
There was no good players. We have no good players. Sell them all.
There was one good player.
One good player, and his first gamer.
It's not like no. We're not going to be that podcast.
Oh,
I honestly, it wouldn't surprise me now if we come out and beat Brisbane. I don't know why. I get that feeling sometimes.
yeah. I know
hope-
what you're saying.
it's more out
It's
of
very
hope.
Essendon-like to do that.
Probably more out of hope than anything else.
Yeah. Yep.
But well, that's for the preview. We'll talk about that. All right.
Yep.
One last thing, bit of a change for us this year. We are going to do our little Don Pod Best and Fairest. Just a cute little vote every week, and we'll see who
Cute.
we deem to be the best and, well, not fairest, because if they get suspended, who cares? The best player we judge for the year, they will get probably a DM in their Instagram saying, "Congrats, mate." Who needs a Brownlow? Who needs a
And they'll go,
Brownlow
"What
when you got the Don Pod? I'm going to give mine loosely based off stats and some highlights that I watched. So, I mean, no surprise, Nick Martin gets 3 votes. Something about Martin and 3 votes.
Maybe we should nickname him Dusty. Our Dusty.
No, because he's not Dusty, he's ours.
Okay.
Gets
Rusty then.
Rusty Dusty. And then absolute daylight. obviously. Look, I am going fully off stats. I'm going to go Caldwell with 2 because I like the fact he kicked a couple of goals. That is an area we've historically been poor. He's having midfielders kick goals. And on your recommendation, Archie Perkins gets a sneaky 1.
For me, it's Rusty Martin.
Excellent.
2, I will give. Oh, Jesus Christ, it's hard. It's so hard. Like, I want to give 1 to bloody Laverde just for coming back on. To be honest,
is that official?
Like, yeah, I'm going to give. I don't know who to give the 2 though. Like, I don't know who deserves a 2. And look, I'd probably nearly go with Perkins for 2 and Laverde for 1.
Okay.
Because Perkins was really good for the first half. He's a quality young player. We've got a good player there. He stood up. He tackled. It's really hard. I don't know how. It'll be interesting when they do the Essendon Best and Fairest at the end of the year. I'm going to take note of who got votes, who they rated in this game.
We are going to throw this out to our listeners, the wonderful people out there that keep us going. So, YouTube and Facebook, just jump in the comments and let us know your 3, 2, 1. I'll do my best to sort of summarise and add them up and get a consensus of a 3, 2, 1 for the fans, and that'll all play into it at the end of the year. Otherwise, Rusty Martin is running away with it. He's leading the Coleman.
He's leading the Coleman. He could be
of Sunday morning. There's games to play today, so this will come out Monday night. If we sound like dickheads, it's because we're recording it Sunday morning. And I said to Nathan, hey, do you want to record the shortest podcast of the year? And it is now currently the longest podcast.
All right, let's wrap it up.
Of the
I
year.
think it deserved to be honest.
Well, it would have helped if I'd actually been able to watch it. But my level of commitment is not watching 11-goal loss replays. I'm very sorry.
We've got to get your commitment up.
Probably. All right. Anything else to add before we head off into the
rubbish.
sunset? Look,
No, we're rubbish.
If I can, we don't want to be the overly sickeningly positive podcast, but if I can just throw one thing at you, it can only get better. That is a dangerous thing.
No, maybe we should have played that song. And the things can only get better. Yeah. Isn't that a song?
Probably get us copyright. Yeah, I think it's Elton John.
Yeah. Anyway.
You should know that.
Yeah, you're right. Things can only get better.
It can only go up, and that's an invitation.
There better be some cracking in. Yeah, there better be some cracking in the Brisbane game in the first quarter. There better be some players sticking their head over that ball and going in.
Absolutely. But we will talk about more. Will talk about that more on Thursday night.
No worries.
All good. Righto. Well, if you've made it this far, you're an absolute legend because 38 minutes of an 11-goal loss is quite impressive. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. And we will chat to you on Thursday night. And still, go Dons.
Oh, go Dons.